And yes, Mr. Chair, politicians trying to cash in at the ignorance of our fellow Filipinos and at the expense of our democracy. This is what this committee should look into, and not ordinary people who are only exercising their free speech. However unpalatable, uncouth, or irreverent their speech might be. As representatives of the people, this Congress should be the bulwark of our much-cherished freedoms as foundations of our democracy. To end, Mr. Chair, I subscribe to the quote often ascribed to Voltaire, that I may disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
Siguro po ang share ko lang po is, kasi ang nakikita kong problem po, kanina na-mention ko kay Congressman Barbers, yung communication kasi, ang fake news kasi nagmumula yan kapag walang enough or convenient communication. For example, ako, I only rely on the news that I'm getting from mainstream media, from mga vloggers. So kung yung nakikita ko online on my timeline, nakikita ko napapanood sa TV and radio. So siguro kanina, for example, I asked around, paano ba magkaroon ng access dito sa House of Representatives? Paano po makasama na ma-invite as part of the media? Ganon. So, na-mention ko kay Congressman Barber, sabi ko, I've tried replying to the email, yung mga email po na nag-invite sa akin dito, pero walang sumasagot. So, twice na po ako nag-email, nag-reply ako, pero walang answer. So, kaya nga I appreciate na binigyan ako ni Congressman Barbers ng email address para direct na sa kanya. So, siguro, ganun nga po. Ang nagmimula po kasi yung fake news kapag kulang yung information na nakukuha namin. So, ang nangyayari, kasi po ang balita, ang nilalabas po namin, sometimes, unahan po yan eh. Kapag kayo ang nauna, kayo ang babasahin, syempre, kayo ang papanoorin. Pero pag kayo nahuli, kung napanood na nila o nabasa na nila from another media, wala ka na, hindi ka na babasahin, hindi ka na pupunta ng iyong followers dahil nabasa o napanood na nila. So siguro kung gawan nyo ng mas magandang communication channel, so every time kasi ang ginagawa ko ganon. For example, pag meron kaming problem sa LGU ng Pasig, taga Pasig po kasi ako, so I communicate directly with the VP, the mayor, and binibigyan naman nila ako ng access para mas madali ko sila makontakt. So ganon din po sa mga government officials kasi, for example, I get invitation from government agencies. Na-invite po ako sa DOST, DOT, DepEd. So pag may mga events sila, may mga press releases sila, we get it. Pero yung hindi po lahat nagbibigay ng ganong convenience na magbigay ng information sa amin para we can properly disseminate yung mga information na tama. And it's not very easy to, for example, meron kaming tanong, ang hirap, walang sumasagot po eh. So, wala kaming choice kundi maglabas ng news na kahit incomplete. So, yung nga po yung sanang gusto kong i-share na mas maganda, bigyan niyo po ng open communication, mas magandang communication channel. Yun lang po.
Thank you. The next is Attorney Claire Castro.
Yes, thank you, Your Honors.
You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Your Honors. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the Honorable Chairman, to the Honorable Committee Chairman of Public Order and Safety, and to the Committee on Information and Communication Technology, and Committee Chair on Public Information. I love to vlog because I want to impart knowledge, I want to impart the truth, and I love to talk, and I love to communicate. But my main source of income is being a trial lawyer. But anyway, vlogging and podcasting is one of the tools to inform, misinform, or disinform. And this is the very main issue why we are here today to discuss its usefulness and destructiveness. Like in the Smirnoff drops of advice, dance freely, drink responsibly. So let's just enjoy the social media platforms freely, but use them responsibly. Otherwise, they may cause tremendous damage. And when it becomes destructive because it was used and abused by so-called fake news vloggers or irresponsible vloggers, diyan tayo magkakaproblema about the state of having a healthy and balanced relationship with technology, encompassing the mental, emotional, physical impact of digital devices and online activities on an individual. Affected na masyado ang disposition mo sa bahay at sa buhay. At may mga nagpapakamatay dahil sa mga fake news na ito. Just like TBP or Kapisanan ng Broadcasters ng Pilipinas na nagde-regulate sa mga broadcasters na may code of ethics na dapat sundin. Kung merong MTRCB na nagre-regulate regulating those being shown, exhibited, or aired over the radio, TV, and through movies, unlike in the social media, habang may internet ka, you can connect to the whole world in live stream with unlimited time, but without edit. Worldwide and reach kung sino-sinong may gadget. Ito ang tinatawag nating video on demand. Pwede ka manood kung kailan gusto at paulit-ulit, pwede mong i-share kahit kanino. There may be appropriate penalties according to our existing laws. And if irresponsible individual or group of individuals continues unabated, it may now be necessary that additional laws be enacted to address the problems. For me, i-regulate kung kinakailangan pong i-regulate sapagkat ito ay through internet at worldwide ang scope. Anytime, anywhere, live stream without edit. Registration of vloggers is one of the key solutions to prevent troll army or fake accounts. Just like cars. If you have several cars, register them in your name. If you have several social media accounts, register them in your name. It might not be that easy. Pero pag gusto, may paraan. Pag ayaw, may dahilan. Biktima din po ako ng fake news at ng mga irresponsibleng vloggers dahil sa aking ginagawang content. YouTube accounts like mine, Batas with Attorney Claire Castro and Let's Clear It with Attorney Claire, madalas din nababash, lalo na ng mga panatiko sa ibang mga politiko. Mahirap habulin, especially kung hindi alam yung identity at walang mga mukha na nakikita sa kanilang channel or social media platforms. So, matuto at magkaroon na lang ng tamang pag-iisip sana at critical thinking ang hangad natin dito. Makapagbigay ng katotohanan para ito ay para din sa ikaunlad ng bansa at ikaunlad ng bawat Pilipino. Dahil kapag mali po ang inyong nasasagap na balita, hindi po tayo magkakaroon ng tamang desisyon. We are also reminding them to be patriotic and not a fanatic. Leaders come and go, but we only have one country to live and stay with our children and loved ones. Mahalin natin ang ating bansa dahil ito lang ang tanging yaman natin. Hindi tayo kakalingain ng ibang bansa. Handa na po ako sumagot kung kayo po ay may mga pagtatanong. Salamat po.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, let's finish first all the invited resource persons with their opening statements before we start asking questions.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next one is Mr. Elijah San Fernando.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You have the floor.
Mr. Chair, may I be allowed to read my statement, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Good day, Mr. Chair and members of the TRI Committee. I am Elijah San Fernando, former student regent of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, the current National Vice President of the National Federation of Labor, one of the oldest and at one point in history, one of the largest federation in the Philippines. Also, Mr. Chair, I am the first nominee of Kamanggagawa Party List. I do not have anything against vloggers, Mr. Chair, although I do not consider myself one. I consider myself as an advocate who got lucky to be bestowed a platform. Let me preface this by categorically stating that I do not earn from these platforms, nor am I paid by anyone, not by any politician, pogo operators, foreign entities and personalities, nor criminal cartels. I am only beholden to the working people to whom I owe allegiance and membership to. I thank the members of this august body for inviting me to this important committee hearing to craft an equally important piece of legislation. I believe that our democracy is indeed under threat, but the threat does not come from ordinary people like us, but from bad faith actors lurking in the shadows, trying to manipulate the elections and social engineer the Filipino people. Let me categorically state also that I know that free speech is not absolute. No less than the highest court of our land has repeatedly said that. But the Supreme Court is also emphatic in defending the primacy and preference of free speech over other substantive economic freedoms and other liberties. For it is only when the people have unbridled access to information and the press that they will be capable of rendering enlightened judgments. In the oft-quoted words of Thomas Jefferson, we cannot both be free and ignorant. The Philippines, Mr. Chair, already has one of the most restrictive shackles to free speech: criminal libel and slander. I should know, because I was also a victim of this while amplifying the voices of the workers in Manila City against an oppressive and illogical local ordinance. As early as 2012, the United Nations Human Rights Committee, commenting on a case of a journalist convicted of criminal libel, Alexander Adonis, has stated that imprisonment is never an appropriate penalty for libel, and that criminal libel in the Philippines is excessive. Also, as a signatory to the International Covenant for Civil and Political Rights, the Philippines needs to honor its commitment to freedom of expression and free speech by decriminalizing libel. In 2023, no less than the Speaker Martin Romualdez has signified his intention to the media to decriminalize libel as a way to declog our jails. It is therefore clear, Mr. Chair, that the threat to democracy comes not from more speech, but the dangers attached to exercising it. Ordinary people, Mr. Chair, are scared to speak up because of criminal libel. That is why they create parasocial relationships with social media personalities who apparently exemplify and are able to exercise this freedom. Vloggers are a way for the muffled masses to express what they cannot publicly express, which creates a cathartic release for their frustrations and disappointments to our social order. This would somewhat explain, Mr. Chair, the rise of the Dutertes and the Tulfos, because they are polyglots who speak the language of the masses. They have harnessed the frustrations of the ordinary folk and have become beacons for people demanding swift justice, however twisted their brand of justice might be to other people. This does not in any way mean to say that everything in social media is good. Troll farms, fake news, paid and faceless bloggers and vloggers, and artificial intelligence, deepfakes, are just tip of the iceberg. A deeper dive at what experts term as inauthentic behaviors are bad actors and political opportunists. And yes, Mr. Chair, politicians trying to cash in at the ignorance of our fellow Filipinos and at the expense of our democracy. This is what this committee should look into, and not ordinary people who are only exercising their free speech. However unpalatable, uncouth, or irreverent their speech might be. As representatives of the people, this Congress should be the bulwark of our much cherished freedoms as foundations of our democracy. To end, Mr. Chair, I subscribe to the quote often ascribed to Voltaire, that I may disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me time to speak.